Calling it a drum kit sounds stupid. So I put a video on Instagram a few weeks ago asking for different unpopular drumming opinions, and the answers were very varied. What's going to happen in this video is I'm going to read these for you and give my personal opinions on them. We'll discuss whether they are unpopular, and I'll give answers to whether those opinions have any truth to them or not. It's going to be really fun, so let's get into it. First one is Travis Barker is a good drummer. That is true. That is not an unpopular opinion. Spending more time on rudiments than playing with other musicians will make you sound robotic. Yes and no. So I think it's quite important to understand that rudiments are the foundation of playing the drum kit. You have to learn rudiments to understand how to create things expansively. So a drummer cannot learn rudiments, you cannot focus on them, but then you're not going to have the foundational building blocks to create different ideas on the kit. So you should be spending time on rudiments, but you also should be playing with musicians. Again, that does have some truth to it. So if you just sit in your room and practice rudiments, practice patterns around the kit, but you don't apply those in musical contexts, you're not going to be a good musician in a band. You have to kind of expose yourself to playing with other musicians. Because what happens is that you learn these rudiments, you learn these fills, you learn all these concepts, and then when you get placed in a band environment, your brain just switches off, so your muscle memory comes out. And if you're not used to that environment and playing with other musicians and interacting with what musicians do, those rudiments won't actually mean anything in that setting. So it's half-half. The unpopular opinion of rudiments being robotic kind of has truth, but only if you don't apply them in musical settings. Double kicks are overrated. I don't know about that one. I think it depends on the musical style. So imagine not having a double bass drum while playing death metal. The music needs that. You need to have a double kick. So I don't think double kicks are overrated. What I think is overrated and what is a bit of an issue is when drummers start to rely on double kicks when they don't actually need to. So you'll get beginner drummers that realize that they can play double bass drum patterns to fill in drum fills to make fast patterns where you can do a single kick instead. I think that would be a bit of an issue. But if you're going to use double kicks and you want to play metal, you have to, so not overrated. What's funny about this comment is Luke Holland himself literally commented, nah. Traditional grip is severely outdated and a waste of time to learn. Now that is definitely an unpopular opinion. So you still get a lot of drummers that play traditional grip just because it's how they learn, it's how they prefer to hold the stick. Just for anyone who doesn't know, traditional grip means when you hold your stick like this instead of match grip like that. So it's true that most drummers early on in drumming days played with traditional grip because before the drum kit came around, the snare drum was kind of angled, so you had to play like that. And with drum kits, the snare drums are kind of flattened out over time, so match grip kind of has been developed by drummers to feel a little bit more comfortable. But traditional grip being outdated, I don't think so. I think it just depends on your preferences. For me personally, I struggle to watch drummers play traditional grip because I can't relate to it, but that's my own personal issue. I don't think it's something that people should take on themselves. John Bonham is overrated. A lot of jazz guys from the same era were better. Alright. So, yes, I think technically jazz guys may have been better, but you're kind of comparing apples with oranges. John Bonham changed rock music forever. John Bonham was like the first huge rock drummer. The way he played kind of revolutionized the way people approach rock drumming. So I don't think he's overrated either. Same as Travis Barker. They really did a lot of good in the drum industry. I'd just say, if you want to listen to jazz guys, listen to jazz guys, but don't undervalue the impact that John Bonham had on drumming and the wider music industry. Playing on the top of the hi-hat instead of the edge is better. I completely disagree with that. You should play the hi-hat however you can to make different sounds. If you only play on the top, you're limiting yourself. If you play on the top and the edge and the bow and wherever on the hi-hat, you get way more sounds, way more options. Electric kits aren't actually that bad. No, they are not. Electronic drum kits are brilliant for practicing, and modern technology has seen a lot of innovation that has made electronic kits feel very similar to acoustic kits. They haven't quite gotten there yet. You also got all those electronics that you can't actually use with acoustic kits. So if you kind of have an acoustic kit, you want to practice, you got one sound and that's what's in front of you. Whereas with an electronic kit, you got way more playability in terms of different sounds, different features, different modes and functions on the modules that really help. So my kind of opinion is that every drummer should have both acoustic kit and then electronic kit for practicing. Stick tricks are the biggest waste of time. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion, but stick tricks can be really good in live settings. They bring the energy on stage and it makes the non-drummers in the crowd really kind of connect with the performance, which is what you want to do in a live setting. Left hand hits hi-hat. So that would be referring to open-handed playing. That is not an unpopular thing anymore. Open-handed playing has been boosted a lot recently in the drumming industry. So when you play open-handed, instead of crossing your arms like this, you kind of open your arms to play like this. It opens a lot of opportunities for your right hand to move around the kit while you still keep time with your hi-hat, and that is why most drummers think it is really good, and I tend to agree with them. Calling it a drum kit sounds stupid. That is probably the most unpopular opinion that was on all of those comments there, and I don't really have an answer to that because no, it doesn't. Fat snares are ugly and sound horrible. So that would be referring to those snare drums that are tuned really deep. Happens a lot in worship settings. A lot of Christian contemporary worship music has really deep, fat sounding snare drums. So you get this which is kind of what they sound like. Same as in a lot of jazz settings where guys kind of use fat snare drums as toms as well. I don't think they sound terrible, I just think they're not for everyone. So for me personally, I really like the sound of a tight, crisp, high-pitched snare drum. So I kind of agree with that a little bit. I don't think they sound terrible, but they're not for me. In the online drumming world, technique is overrated and people put too much focus on it. I think that's true to an extent. Technique is very important because if you don't get the technique right at the beginning, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run, either physically or you're going to hurt your ability to be able to play things. So you need to master certain techniques, the way you hold your sticks, the way you play certain strokes, very important. But if you focus on them too much, learning the drums is going to suck, it's not going to be fun. You actually should just try play music as much as possible, and that will kind of encourage you and get your spark going so that you want to learn technique to get better. So technique can be overrated depending. Learning the drums is a balance. So it's technique, musicality, groove, fills, chops. You just need to find a balance between all of them. Don't focus on one thing too much. Brands don't matter. Play what you think sounds good. That is also not really an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people, me included, like to stick to single brands just because it's like either an OCD thing, it looks cool, or some drummers kind of claim that you have coherent sounds when you use the same brand, which I don't think is true. If you think about it like this, if you open yourself up to getting gear from every drum brand, you have so many sound options. But if you choose just one drum brand, you are limiting yourself. However, there are so many options within single brands that there is plenty for you to choose from, and that's usually enough for most drummers. Last one, this person says, why so many rudiments? Not really an unpopular opinion, but that is a question, and I think the unpopular opinion would be that you don't need to learn all the rudiments, which I agree with. So there are 40 main rudiments. If you're like a snare drummer in drum corps and drum line and stuff, that's probably what you need to be doing, but if you play the drum kit, you do not need to learn all 40 rudiments. The most important ones are single strokes, double strokes. That's it. Single strokes and double strokes mixed together make paradiddles, and then you get all the inversions. So you can't do the paradiddles without single strokes and double strokes. And then the other ones I'd say are important would be drags and flams, because those are kind of technique things. So those kind of build your technique on how to use your fingers to fit in lots of notes. But other than that, you do not really need to spend a lot of time on mastering triple Ratamacues if you don't want to. So yeah, unpopular opinion, which I do agree with. You do not need to learn all 40 rudiments. Rather just focus on a few and get really good at those. And yeah, that was a fun video, guys. I enjoyed reacting to those. If you want to go read all those comments on that Instagram post, I will link it below so that you can see the ones that I missed. It's really interesting to see how kind of ideas differ between different drummers, but it's cool to have different perceptions and concepts from everyone. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you in the next one.